So today was what, 113? 113. Yeah, those turf fields in Tucson.
Yep. When I was at Mountain View last year, the middle of the field logo was all black.
Yeah.
That thing would get, I mean,
yeah.
We had a little temperature gun. It was like up to 135. We pointed straight at it in the middle of the day.
Wow. Yeah, the kids.
Gnarly. Black's not a good choice to put on turf.
Yeah. The main thing is so they start getting blisters on their feet and stuff.
Yep.
And then they want to throw water to cool it down, and that don't work.
The little pellets get in their shoes. That's
yeah. So yeah, we're live right now. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? 520 Gridiron here live.
What's going on out there, guys? How you doing? How you guys enjoying this hot day today? 113 today, I think they said. It was really hot. You stay hydrated.
Yeah,
stay hydrated.
Hydrated.
Water, whatever, Gatorade, and adult beverages.
Apple juice.
Apple juice, right? Yeah, apple juice.
You got your juice.
Yes, you know we got a great show today. We got some great guests coming on today. We got Coach Jake Allen.
Coach Jake.
With Pueblo High School, my alma mater, 96.
Yep.
And we got Steve Rivera from the Star, the Citizen.
I got to go. No. He's already got it wrong.
I got it wrong.
The Voice.
That was
10:30.
10:30, The Voice.
Yeah, The Voice.
Eye on the ball.
Eye on the ball.
Yep. There you go. I'm sorry about that.
That's right. I confused you with some good-looking dude or something.
Well, it was a picture that we had on there. That's confusing.
I'm assuming the guy showed it up there.
Thanks, Miguel. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So you guys got good sound out there. Get a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. We got
Make
good
sure
sound.
We're good today.
I checked it this time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we're always checking in the middle of the thing. We go like 5 minutes into the show, and you're like, we can't hear anything. So like,
have you ever run into any of that?
Sometimes it's for the best.
Yeah. You get the practice run up.
No, they don't hear what we have to say, so
I don't think they're hearing you right now because you have to use the microphone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. like I said, I'm a rookie at this. Come on, guys, we need to.
You need
their stand.
Don't worry, it's coming.
We get more sponsors on the thing.
We're working on it. We're working on it. You know. Speaking of sponsors, we got a Blue Collar Steel out in Benson, Arizona.
Oh wow, okay.
Blue Collar Steel, they're starting out there. You can find them off of Mescal Road, next to the Pick Market out there. If you're passing through there, it's on the north side of I-10, where you can get. They specialize in steel and fabrication out there. So
I like that.
They're getting started. Guys from South Tucson moved out there and getting their thing going. So congratulations on your guys' start with your business, and we hope everything goes well for you guys.
Yeah, there's Diego right there.
We got Diego from Buena Vida is another one of our sponsors. He'll have his restaurant going up there in Stone, and they're gonna have some of the best green chili in town.
Some of it's red chili.
Yeah,
it's
red chili,
Colorado. Yes,
chili Colorado.
Thank you for saying it correctly.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you for bringing us some.
See, I messed up on one part, and then I hit a home run on the next one.
That's right. You made up for it. We'll have some taste testers after the show.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. First.
Absolutely.
We're not getting in, you guys. You can shut us out.
Yeah, you guys better trip me on the way up there. But yeah, so we got let's welcome in Coach Jake Allen. Introduce yourself, Coach.
Yeah, sure.
Coach.
I'll give a super brief background. Just got hired as head coach at Pueblo in December. I'm Tucson native. Been here since I was 2 years old, and played football. Went to school at Ironwood Ridge. Was lucky enough to play for two legendary coaches. Played for Gary Minor when he was there, and then my senior year, Matt Johnson took the helm. Got lucky enough to play for him. My senior year, blew out my knee, ACL, MCL, PCL. While I was rehabbing, Coach Johnson said, while you're figuring things out, come coach for me. While you're getting your feet on the ground and figuring life out. So that was before you had to be 21 to coach. Back then, at 18, you were able to coach, and I've been doing it ever since. So I did 9 years coaching at Ironwood Ridge with Matt. Was lucky enough to be there when we won a state championship. And then last year, when Matt left Ironwood to go to Mountain View, I followed him. Went to Mountain View for a year, and lucky enough to get the head job at Pueblo in December, and couldn't be more excited.
Yeah. So that's your first head coaching gig right there at
It
Pueblo.
is, yep. I did 10 years as an assistant under Matt at both schools, and this is my first head coaching job.
Yeah. What made you take on Pueblo? I'm sure you had a lot of other offers. What did you see in Pueblo High School that attracted you to that?
I'm glad you actually, in all reality, Pueblo is the only job I applied for. I didn't want my first job to just be the first job I could get. I wanted to be a little more picky with the process, and just growing up in Tucson, when I played at Ironwood, Sunnyside was our biggest rival. I've seen what great programs in South Tucson can do on the local and the state level. So the community aspect at Pueblo, the rich history of the school, the football program, really the community is what sold me. And I think there's a lot of room in the future for our program to get to pretty great heights. So that's what Pueblo, the second it opened up, was immediately a job I wanted to apply for.
Nice.
That's good.
What kind of coach do you think you're going to be? Or will you be?
Hopefully a good one, but that's yet to be determined.
No, tough
yeah.
one. A player's coach.
Yeah, no, so I tend to be a little more reserved, and I try to hire a staff that has a different personality than myself. So I definitely stole from Bear Bryant. He said he never tried to hire someone that had the same personality as him coaching-wise. You surround yourself with a plethora of different coaches that can reach different players with their individual personality. And so myself, more steady, consistent, day-to-day, focusing on how are we going to win today. And I have some other coaches on the staff that bring the hype and the energy, and I try to keep the ship not too high, not too low, try to keep it steady. So
You can tell he's a smart guy. He used the word plethora.
Yeah, I was here. I was on my phone trying to look it up.
PL.
Does that come with cheese?
All right. We're gonna go back.
Yeah.
to
Hey, by the way, who put this Raiders hat? I kind of find a little rash here.
You get, yeah.
A little rash here, but we'll keep it there.
It does that. Be careful. It hits too.
Hasn't won any games
Be
in the last
careful.
20 years, so it's okay. Keep it there for now.
Yeah.
This is actually
don't
referring
know.
to our Tucson
Raiders
Raiders.
football.
But that's not theirs, right? That's like
This is the Tucson Raiders. This is the logo. It was they allowed the youth football teams to be able to use the logos. So you got like organizations like
good answer.
Yeah,
So I'm okay with
that.
it.
Was that was
Tucson
okay.
Raiders,
That one passed?
nothing down
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, you wouldn't see a winning one. You watch these ones, the Tucson Raiders. You got it? Yeah, we're on
put
it.
on 2018's championship
Yeah,
game.
yeah, no, yeah.
The highlight
the
game.
national championship team.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Up
yeah,
in
so
Florida.
yeah, so Steve, if you can give us a quick background of yourself.
Well, I've been here since Moses roamed the planet
Part of the
Earth.
Part at the sea.
Yes. I'm wearing red for partying in the Red Sea.
Yeah.
I've been here for 33 years in town. Covered Arizona basketball mostly for the Tucson Citizen. You probably don't even know what the heck that was. It's the afternoon paper forever.
Yeah.
Then I worked for Fox Sports for a long time, and then I have my own talk show, 10:30. It's Eye on the Ball every weeknight from 6 to 7. Along with Jay Gonzalez, and I do a lot of writing, a lot of sports writing for All Sports Tucson.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of sports, written 5 books, and that's about it.
Met a lot of cool
Yeah.
people, I bet.
A lot of
Yeah.
cool people. Yeah, I think that's probably been the most fun of my job. I got to meet a lot of cool people, and then they come on my show now because of the connections.
Look how it's trickling down, because I felt the same way when I started. I was like, oh my goodness, look at all these cool people I'm getting to meet. I'm getting to meet leaders of the community.
Oh, yeah,
And now
good.
I get to meet you, and I listened to your shows, and I was like, man, this guy's awesome.
Well, thank you very much. You're the person that listens. Thank you very much.
Yeah. He's the one.
You gotta get that social media presence.
We got one.
It starts with one. It starts with one.
You can't win them all if you
Yeah.
don't win one, right?
I listened to all of them. They were hours. I spent like 5 hours.
You had no time on your hands, apparently.
we all got a lot of extra time now. We're so good.
He always got picked glass for
Oh,
football.
okay, yeah. Welcome to COVID-19, guys.
Oh man. So what was how is it working like with Sean Miller and these guys with the U of A program and stuff like
it's
that?
totally different than when I worked with Lute. I'm not worked with, but I covered Lute. I covered Lute for 20 years. The good times, the bad times, a lot of wins, national championship. I was able to write my first book after the national championship. In the last 10, 11 years now, Sean has been here. It's different because we're not allowed access to the kids as much as we were with Loot.
Yeah.
We could talk to them more often. We could talk to them in person, do a lot more open stories, more in-depth stories. Here, not so much under Sean. But maybe that'll change, maybe not. But so many different things going on right now with COVID.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely understand that. It's getting kind of difficult to do anything. I mean, I imagine, Coach, you're on Zoom a lot with your coaches and stuff like that, and that's kind of what this sports world has turned into, is Zoom. And even I see Sports Center, they're doing things over just reporting from their house.
Right. We're lucky to have Zoom. I'm starting to get a tick with the word because we've been doing Zooms incessant, because I teach too. So we ended the semester last year doing Zooms every day. We do 2 to 3 Zooms a week with the team. We do offense, defensive install, and then we do a team meeting. We do a couple coaches meetings on Zoom. So it's a great tool. It's just 4 months in.
Yeah,
I'm thankful for the ability to talk to my guys, but I'm ready for us to get back in person and get to the real thing.
Yeah.
We're all under it, because don't you wish you would have had stock in Zoom before it all happened?
Oh my gosh, yes, that and in Amazon. That one too, because now it's like they don't go shopping no more. They shop online, and everything's through Amazon and stuff like that. So Uber.
You even got Amazon, and
Uber Eats, all that stuff. So yeah, we're a little late on that stock, but.
So what have your shows been about lately?
A lot about, we have a lot of ex-guys. In the last month or so, we had Terry Francona, we had Steve Kerr, we had Bob Baffert. I'm just throwing out big names here. Dave Hickey, people like that, just kind of getting the variety of things we talk about today, COVID and all the things that are going on with it. Right. But my show our show is more about people and how they, kind of like the good old days. We reminisce about what happened back here in '88 for the Final Four teams, growing up in Tucson as an athlete, doing what you're doing in college and in the pros now. So just a lot of fun things. I like to reminisce about the good old days, because to me, that's when things really rocked here in Tucson.
Yeah.
80s, 90s, probably when you were a kid, and you're probably 20 years, about 10 years removed from high school. How many years?
Yeah, I just turned 28, so graduated in 2010.
So then you won a state title, things like that, where you're able to kind of talk about the good times.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to talk about the good times?
Right.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to talk about those great 3-point shooters that the U of A had every year? And they're, are they going to have another one come up like that? They got anybody coming in?
We'll see. In the last 10 years under Sean, the best guy they've had is Gabe York. You remember Gabe York?
Yeah.
But they haven't had a good 3-point shooter since Salim Stoudemire.
Yeah.
And that's been, 15, 16 years now. And before that, it was Steve Kerr. You had Damon Stoudemire. Since then, Jason Terry, Mike Bibby. But they haven't had a real good one to open up the game since he's been here.
Yeah, and I see that. And just the free throw shooting, I don't know what Lute did, but Lute, they had a lot better free throw shooting back in the days compared to now. Now we're missing a lot of key free throws. When you're missing about 11 to 12 free throws a game, and you're losing by 6 points, there's
style of play too also matters, because Lute's teams went up and down. They scored a lot of points, so free throws they weren't always great, but those free throws mattered or didn't matter because you already had a 20-point lead or a 15-point lead. Sean's games, if you notice, are very close.
Yeah.
Very close games. He's a 60-point guy, 55, 60-point guy. So once those games shrink, the lead aren't that big.
Yeah.
So you don't have room for error. You don't have much room for error.
Yeah. And you need those shots.
And you need every shot matters.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
That's why you got to blow out teams, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And
that's the goal. Yeah.
You're looking to come in high powered, moving the ball fast. That's what I think football's coming to now.
Absolutely, no huddle.
Quick. Yeah.
And now there's different variations of tempo within the no huddle.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the most interesting thing if we do have a season this year.
Yeah.
I'm more of a tempo guy, because I believe that's something that doesn't take talent. You condition your guys enough and have enough discipline, and your communication system is in place enough that you can have an advantage over a more talented team through tempo. But if we get our guys for 3 weeks before our first game, which technically right now would be August 17th first practice,
Yeah.
September 7th first game. I mean, I'll do whatever we can to play, but we're going to have to rethink. Normally, the entire summer is where you get your conditioning,
Yes.
and to run that really high octane where you're trying to run 100 plus plays a game. I don't know with 3 weeks of practice if that's going to be beneficial. So we're going to have to be creative and get back to the drawing board with that.
Hopefully the athleticism is there, because hopefully these kids are doing what they're supposed to do while what's
Yep.
going on. They're working out and they're taking the discipline to do all that stuff on their own. That way when you
Yeah.
get to playing, it's just the education part of the plays and stuff like that, so you guys can dial it in.
That's kind of where I wanted to go with that. The quality of game, or probably in the first 2-3 weeks, is not going to be what you're used to because of the practicability or whatever the schemes that you have to set up, because that takes time.
And you know, and that's, I think if there's an advantage, and every coach wants to be able to have their offense or defense schematically sound against everything, you know, that keeps you up at night. Every dagger that can be thrown at you, but people are going to have to simplify. If that, whether it's college, NFL, everyone playing football this year in any capacity, you're going to have to find 2 or 3 things that you're willing to devote time to, and you're going to have to be willing to give up other stuff in other parts of your game, or else you're going to be spread too thin and not do anything well. So,
well, the other thing that I think that might be cautionary is the injuries, because people are not going to be in shape by the time the game starts, if they do start.
in Tucson, that's a huge worry with the heat. You know, the heat acclimatization period is normally close to 2 weeks in itself. So if that's 2/3 of our prep for week 1, that's a whole different animal that we're going to have to deal with. I do think that the weight room, in my experience, is the cornerstone of a good program, but it's more injury prevention than people understand. A good, solid year-round weight room program keeps guys on the field until December when you're making a playoff run. So I agree, weight rooms have been shut down for every program this whole summer. What does that do for the safety of our boys when they get back out there? Because when they blow the whistle, no one's going to care that we didn't have a weight room all summer. You know, boys are going to be out there banging, and we're going to be playing ball. So the injuries, that's certainly a worry.
Can I take over your show for a second?
Hey,
Go
by
for
all
it.
means.
You can do whatever you
I
want
apologize
to
now,
do.
real quick. But Coach,
Take it
don't
over.
you think that teams with a lot of not talent, but a lot of roster size is the big advantage, because they have chances to get injured and move somebody in and compete against each other, where smaller rosters don't?
100%. And to go even further with that, if you have a small roster size, you're already worried about that attrition. Now, do you change your practices because you're even more worried with that small roster size, higher chance of injury? How much are you hitting during the week? Are you going to change that? That's a question every coach is going to have to answer. It's an interesting animal we're all going to have to deal with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of coaches have kind of changed now throughout the past few years with the hitting situation. I know me, for example. I mean, my kids, we might hit 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we'll hit for 2 weeks full go, just to shake the tree, see who's gonna be, want to be up for it still. And then after that, we don't hit. We go 3 quarters, wrap, we thud, just go through, wrap hard. Right. And that's it. Nothing taken to the ground anymore. Because what I seen from coaching, previous years, 10, 11 years ago was, we're going full go all week. And Saturday we're wondering, well, I'm short of running back this week because of this. He got hurt in practice, and he got hurt in practice. So I think a lot of coaches need to look at that and take that into account and take care of the kids' bodies, in that manner. Because taking beating 5 days a week and then go play on a Saturday,
So news broke this week that the AIA is going to be delaying some things. How did you take the news?
I'm a big fan of, in my personal life and in coaching, of stoicism, and really trying to, as a human, always revert back to, you can only control what you can control. And if it's outside of your control, there's no use in spinning your wheels, spending that excess mental energy on something that you have no control over. So, your initial reaction is frustration, but a couple minutes in, it's like, listen, I have zero say over this. I need to be a leader for my team. If they see me frustrated, they're going to get frustrated. And the last thing I want right now is, my boys who are looking to me, for behavior during this hard time, during this pandemic. We got to take things in stride, and right now, whenever they let us play ball, we'll play. And until then, we can only control what we can control.
So plethora and stoicism.
I just remember it.
I knew you were gonna come
remember
with
that.
it. Ladies,
Stoicism changed my life. That's what Marcus Aurelius. That whole philosophy is really helped me in my career. That's something that's a cornerstone of everything that I do.
Why did you hook me up with a smart dude to my left? I don't know. I'm
It's fake smart.
well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for watching here. We're going to take a quick break while we get some things in order. We're going to put on some music real quick, and we'll come back to you in just a minute, all right? All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Ooh, let me get out of here.
It's a pretty good system.
Yeah.
My goodness, if I know how to go to commercial break. Let's go. Still learning, guys. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Mike's on. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for that short break right here. We're back with 5-2-0 Gridiron. Let's continue what we were talking about. Want to take it away, Angel?
No more big words, Coach.
No more big words.
All right, my bad.
We'll give you one more. Yeah, we needed to take a break to get the dictionary.
Can I ask a naive question for you guys?
Yeah.
What made you decide to do this show?
Well, I guess I can
wanna
answer
answer
that
first?
one.
Yeah.
So it all just started out with me being a photographer, and I coached with Coach Angel. I put my son in football, and he asked me if I wanted to be a coach. I said yeah, and it just turned out that I wanted to do something creative. I've always been that kind of person, so I grabbed myself a camera and I started recording our video games, and they turned out to be high quality. And Coach was like, "We need those every week." So to do our, to review and all that stuff, and then it just grew from there. I started taking pictures, all that stuff, and then when this whole COVID thing hit. I was planning on getting into video anyways. Like, what can we do, to talk about Angel was really trying to get away from home, so we needed a spot here to hang out. So, Lorena, I hope you're not watching right now. No, anyways,
Thank
he's
you.
like,
I'll
we
be
were just
sleeping
joking
outside in
around,
the
like,
rain.
let's just start, let's do a Facebook Live. And I
So,
said,
how many shows have you? What's this?
so this is going to be like 5.
This should be. Is this 5?
This is 5.
So this is your last one.
Thank you for killing it for us. Thank you.
We're kind of hoping you pass the torch there, right?
It's on fire, baby. It's on fire.
No, but
this
this is how it all started. It
Cool.
just grew from
Yeah.
there. I put my own into this right here, just to set up, and that's what I was trying to go for. He was like, "Man, it's like really high quality, and that's what I wanted to have." Is just
Very elaborate. Yeah, it's very nice.
And the key thing also, it was about
Yeah.
You know, getting all as many kids as we can from the youth level to the high school level, letting them get to know the high school coaches that they can potentially be going to, and getting an idea of what the high school program will be expecting, and also to get these high school kids. Also, get them on video, get them on Facebook, and it'll turn into YouTube soon. We'll be going to a YouTube channel. Also,
just the community, you know what I mean? The culture. This area right here is probably got the toughest out of everybody. You know what I mean? So
exposure, some ability to speaking for their
Why
family.
not for them? You know what I mean? They don't have much down here. It's always been a struggle to you know.
Yeah, we want to get
what it is.
Did you grow up in the area?
I grew up here.
So it empowers them like it empowered you.
I've never seen anything like this. You know what I mean? Who's doing that right now for these kids?
Right.
And if I can get some kids in here to, and they like that, you know, they want pictures taken of them when they're playing football. That you know,
sure. I know the parents like it even more.
We want to give the kids a little platform to come in here and you know, let everybody know who they are, you know, talk about it, because they see the football player, they see him under the helmet, they see the stats, but they don't know the kid.
And I heard that, I heard some of your shows too that you talk about something like that, some of the, like the South Point schools and stuff like that, and they get some of the kids out there. What makes them, I don't want to say better, but
they win.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
They win and they're good.
How do they get like that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
a coach will agree to this because he played for Iowa Ridge and it's up there and played at Mountain, or coaches at Mountain View. If you win, they will come. If you don't win, guess what? They don't come.
I heard one of the, I think you were talking to one of the coaches or something like that, who was a coach. He said community, parents. You know what I mean? The involvement of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You have to have the right parents too, and I'm sure coach will know this. You don't want the crazy parent that can coach their kids from the sidelines. You just want them to take them on time, be there for them, encourage them, and take them home, and you be the coach. I'm sure coach feels that way too.
I'm not gonna disagree with you on that point. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, you have those parents, but you have, as a coach too. You know, you want to just get out there and call plays and work on this and just do football. But now as a coach, you need to make sure that you communicate with the parents, have constant communication with the parents, and let them know what you expect from them. You know, if they can manage to hold themselves down, to make sure their kid is able to play, you know, and not get out of hand, and then follow the rules also, you know, that's a great formula for success, you know, and have them involved in everything. Then comes your booster clubs and everything else. You know?
How many years have you coached at this level? And as a head coach,
I've been coaching youth since 1996. Whether that'd be baseball,
you were two.
that'd be baseball. I know, but I have my first tooth right there, so I said, let's go. I can eat seeds.
Sure.
So let's go.
To the point of my question though is have you had to discipline a parent or two?
Yes, I had a parent, and I want to say 1998. This team wasn't winning, and this is in the baseball area. They weren't winning. I took over the team and just gave the kids some positive reinforcement. And I'll guarantee you, it don't matter if you're winning. You can be undefeated, and you can have 0 wins. We're undefeated that season. We're 7-0, and I had a parent crying, a man crying, because I had the kids running sprints after the game. That's something we did. That's something we do, win or lose, you know. And it's just to keep the boys, you know, keep the boys honest, keep them humble. And the parent had a fit, and I had to discipline that parent and say, hey, look, man, if you can't handle this, you need to go. And, you know, when you're ready to control yourself, you can bring your son back. I said, oh, you're kicking my son off the team? No, I'm not. This is something you're going to have to explain to him, and why he can't be out here because of your behavior.
So what were the consequences?
Yeah. Where the consequences were, his son stood up in front of everybody. His son stood up in front of everybody and asked his dad to calm down, and told his dad to not do that. He was embarrassed, and he apologized to the team. And that's that. The kid, he stood up, and that's what made me proud, because he owned it. The kid stood up and, you know, stood up for his team.
Yeah, and that wasn't his thing. It was his parents' thing that should have.
Exactly. Yeah. The parent should have did that, but, you know, the parent later on, you know, 2 games later, came up to me and you know, he apologized. He apologized for what happened. But
so coach, for you, just real quick, you're an assistant coach for all these years under one of the great high school coaches with Johnson. How is it moving over one seat?
Yeah. So I got. it's exciting. I'll tell you that. And I knew I wanted to do this, you know, since I started coaching 10 years ago. So I did have that in mind, and I got lucky. I told Johnson probably when I was 18 or 19 that this was what I wanted to do. And because of that, he involved me in, I got to sit in on a lot of head coach meetings that I wouldn't have otherwise, just as a fly on the wall, because he wanted to let me see some of the issues and the problems that you face as a head coach, and what a booster club meeting is like, and how you handle player discipline. And so he let me at a young age sit in on those, and I'm forever grateful for that. It helped me skip some years of mistakes. I'll still make plenty, but it helped knock a few off. And I think he also, when I was 21, he allowed me to be the head JV coach at Ironwood, and I was in that role for 6 years. So even though it's nothing compared to a varsity head coach, I at least had that smaller pond that was where I could try things out and make mistakes and learn how to be a leader. So he did a lot for me, just letting me have exposure to that probably earlier than I deserved or was ready for. But it was absolutely crucial to my development as a coach.
Yeah.
If I could, just you've been removed 10 years or so. How have high school players changed in that decade? I'm sure they have. Attitude and ability.
Gosh, that's.
We only have an hour.
I know. I don't. If I had to be honest, I think kids don't often change that much. I think society and parents change more than kids, and I think that kids end up being a reflection of that change of their parents and society as a whole. Because, you know, the biggest issue I've seen, I think a lot of issues are created by social media and the impact that has on my players' behavior and problems that wouldn't have existed when I was in high school, because there wasn't Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, all these ways that can really just create problems for that individual and the team. So, but these kids didn't create Facebook or Snapchat. You know, they were born into it. So I try not to. No kid at 17 wants to be held responsible for the evils of Snapchat. They didn't create it. So I try to take some breath and understand that really we're probably the ones changing, and we have to adapt first in order to get the results from our kids that we want. I think our kids are just as tough as they used to be. It's just a different world we're living in.
You played?
I played, yeah.
You played as well? Yeah. So don't you think back in the day when you played, that one of the hidden secrets, if you're a coach or whatever now you're coaches, is the emotional part of the game that people don't know. People think, okay, you have two good teams playing against each other, but they don't see the emotional part of it. Well, the quarterback just broke up with his girlfriend. Things happen behind the scenes that you can't tell because you don't know.
Right.
We want to go deep into that, man. That's my concern with the kids, that, you know, a lot is going on at home. You know what I mean? And that becomes that turns that kid into something else when they go play. You don't know their situation at home, but we know coming from this area that there's a lot of that. You know, I hang around with a lot of the younger kids, and I got to talk to them, and they talk openly about what's going on at home. You know what I mean?
So as a coach, you probably become more of a confidant or someone to talk to, as someone they can relate to, because they don't have that.
You have to be.
Yeah, as being a coach, you have to know your kids. You have to know, just because you got a kid that runs a 4.8 40. I mean, don't just know that about your kid. Know him away from football. That way, you know how to relate to him more, and how to relate, and he can become more confident in you to be able to come up to you if there's any issues. He knows, hey, I can go to Coach Angel, I can go to Coach Steve, I can go to Coach Jake, and you know what I'm saying. And they can communicate that with you. If you're just out there and just burying them every day and burying it, like, you can't coach the way we coached in 20 years ago. You can't coach like that anymore. You got to adjust, and we got to make the adjustment towards the kids and the way this new generation is. You know what I mean? Because right now they'll turn off on you quick, and they're done. They want instant. Everything has to happen fast for them. It has to happen now.
Right.
There's no process. You know, and we got to show them a process, but in a way to where we can turn it on them and still show them the process, but into their way of thinking, you know.
So at this level, because you've been in it now, what do you think the most important parts are that you have to not avoid, but you have to be aware of in terms of emotional side of the game?
Right. So I think, first of all, I try to, in every individual situation with the kid, because like you said, on the surface it could be bad behavior or slacking off or not finishing through the line or failing a class. I try to never assume that bad behavior is bad motives. They're kids. So you have to ask questions. You have to, like you guys were saying earlier, if you don't get to know your players, then you do start to assume, oh, well, he's slacking off because he's just a bad kid, a bad seed. And you push them away, and that's the exact opposite of how you have to handle those situations. But on the other hand, I tell my assistant coaches, you have to be the head coach of your position so that they build those relationships as well. Because, if I got 80 kids in my program, freshmen in the varsity, I'm going to try like hell to build a relationship with every single one of them. But you only have enough minutes in the day. Yep. So I tell all my coaches constantly, if you're the wide receivers coach, you're the head coach of the wide receivers. And if something's going on in your group of players, you need to know about it. And me and you need to have an open line of communication so I know about it. Communication breakdown is the number one problem in an age where we're over communicating in every waking minute.
Yeah.
So in the Pac-12 right now, Colorado has a new coach, and so does Washington State, and they don't know their players because they came on the scene and they haven't had spring practice because of what's going on, and they don't know much outside of them knowing who the players are. For you, just having gotten the job, what do you know about your players, and because of Zoom, have you gotten to relate with them?
So I got really lucky. There's a lot of head coaches in the state that they got hired during COVID, because that's when the job opened up, and I feel for those dudes. That's a rough situation. Luckily, I got hired in December, so I was still teaching at Mountain View, but January 6th or whenever we came out of winter break, I was down there with my assistant coaches Monday through Friday. We were weightlifting for an hour and a half after school every single day. And we did that January, February, half of March until the world stopped turning due to COVID. So luckily, I haven't seen any of my guys in person throw or catch a football, do any drills, but what I did get to see, I have a great strength and conditioning coach who's actually my younger brother, and that's what he does for a living. And there was a few days where I said, let's give these guys more than they can probably handle right now, because I want to see just mentally where we're at. Physically, I know where we're at. The weights don't lie. You can either lift a weight or you can't. Yeah. I want to see if we give them a task that's gnarly, that they probably can't do. I want to see if we're finger pointing or if we're just going to grit our teeth and get the job done the best we can. And I saw that every time we pushed them, it was just a tough group of kids that said, yes, sir, I don't know if I could do this, but I'm sure as hell going to just keep plowing away until you blow the whistle and say it's over.
And that's what you're going to get from these kids from the South Side.
Yep.
There's some tough kids, man. Tough situations. They're coachable, and there's some tough guys, man.
You can't underestimate these kids. I think all the kids in the high school programs, everyone, and they're off, and they're gonna have new offenses, new defenses, new special team strategies, stuff like that. But these kids are gonna be hungry. They're gonna be hungry to come back and play, and they're gonna really put their nose in those playbooks. And I am fully confident that these kids, it'll probably take them maybe one game to get all the penalties out of the way, and all the false starts and holding penalties and stuff like that. And I think they're going to come back. They're going to come back strong and hungry, and I think we're going to see a lot of great football if we're blessed to have a season this year. Right. And I think we're going to have a great season.
What if you guys don't have a season? High school level, young sports level, that kind of sets you back athletically in terms of progress? Right. How bad?
So I'd like to look at this glass half full, because culture's everything, and that's nothing to say anything on Coach Sanders' culture before I got there, because he established a fantastic football program.
He did a great job.
Took them to the playoffs multiple times. Yeah. But every coach has their own individual culture. So I'm trying to look at it. If God forbid that does happen, at least I will have a little bit of more time before our first game to get things running the way I would like them to. But that being said, I'm not giving up on us having a season. We'll do whatever we can to play this year. But like you said, if that does happen, we're just going to keep working, and we'll have the longest off season in the history of football, and we'll just work.
We'll have a healthy season next year, and all the injuries, everybody be good.
Could I ask another dumb question? Because you brought this up a couple of times now, talking about the South Side kids, and now you're part of that group. You've been on the North Side. What do you think, or what do you know about, what do the kids here want that the kids up there don't? Or do they want something different? Don't they want the same thing?
So they want the same thing. I think they want you mean as far as winning?
Or winning.
They do. I think they
some
do.
hope or whatever word you want to use.
They want to be all-stars. Every kid does. Everybody wants to win. But where I think, and I want to get into is, we're going to get into how these kids are raised. You know what I mean? That part of it right there, you're coming from low-income families sometimes. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the best. You're getting kids who don't have much. Some of them only eat one meal a day. You know what I'm saying? And they're expected to hit the weight room and perform. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I think some of the stuff could possibly.
And these are the
Change
things that
that.
we hear. We
Sure.
hear it, like, we're not assuming this
I know,
stuff.
I'm-
Like, we hear it. And
You're
we've
talking
seen
to
it.
a guy whose
Yeah.
name was Flacco growing up, so I totally understand. And still is
They
not
still call me
Who
Flacco.
doesn't want to win?
Yeah, so but it's a culture. Everybody has that dream. Everybody has that dream, and you hope beyond hope that you're going to be that guy to be somebody. I mean, they've paid, now they're paying you to make them that guy.
Yep, absolutely. If my thought on that, not to oversimplify, but I think every kid, whether they realize it or not, kids crave structure.
Yes.
And the best football programs
Yep.
in the state, in the country, they're highly, highly structured from the minute, not like boot camp necessarily, but when you get on campus, your day is structured. If you show up to class on time, it's structured. If you're messing around at lunch, it's structured. And every minute after school till you get home is structured. And I think that starts to breed success.
I'd have to say that the coaches around here, they have a tougher time coaching than I think in any other.
Because you know that, or you think that?
I think that, and I think maybe I
you
feel
have-
that. Maybe it's just me that I feel that. You know what I mean? Because I grew up here and I see it, and I see and I played with kids who they're single parent homes and.
Well, let me
you know what I'm
let me
saying?
use an example that I had maybe 6-7 years ago. Sean Miller was about to leave, or could have left to Maryland. Maryland here for more money, not to be in Tucson to coach, but go to Maryland. And one of my friends, a colleague, said, "Why would you want to leave Tucson? Look what we have." It was like 105. I'm thinking, you mean to tell me that you can't live in Maryland for $4 million more than here? I mean, if you don't know what's beyond here, you don't know any better. And that's kind of what you're saying. You know what you know here, and that's fine. But you don't know where he came from,
Right.
or where he'd been. It's like me. I grew up not in a family that is middle class, maybe a little, about middle class, and I'm here, and I get to live my dreams because either you want to do it or you don't, and that's up to the kid.
Yeah, true.
Listen to the coach. Am I wrong? I could be wrong, but
Oh no, that
No,
plays
you
a
hit
big
it. You
part
hit
of
on
it
the
too,
nail.
man.
You hit on the nail.
It's a lot of it.
And that's what it is. I mean, I know I see some of the boys, I see some of the kids on Monday. I don't work on Mondays, so I get permission to go on campus and walk around and see some of the kids, and it's like, hey, well, what are you doing? It's school time.
Right.
Why aren't you in a class?
What
why are
age?
you sitting-
What age?
These are high school kids. No, I keep track of my kids. I just don't coach them, and then they go to high school, and I'm done. I don't know. They communicate with me to this day. I got kids from '96 that still communicate with me, and and we just got to push them. They got to push themselves too. And they tell me, oh, well, this teacher don't like. Well, dude, it's not the teacher. It's not the teacher. The teacher's there to do a job, and I don't care if the teacher's mean. I hope the teacher's mean. I tell them, I hope the teacher's mean, because that means they're pushing you. If I'm out there on the football field and I'm nice to you and just let you do a sprint, a half-ass sprint, I'm not doing you any good. I'm not coaching you right. So the teacher's got to push them hard, and they got to adjust to that too.
This man, you can talk about this, coach, real quick. Once the coach doesn't stop, or once he stops yelling at you, then you're in trouble.
That's a problem. Yep.
Absolutely. I think you have to remind the guys that, listen, I don't find it fun to spend my lunch period pulling up the attendance individually for everyone on the team and seeing if you made it to first period on time.
Yeah.
That's not something I enjoy doing. I do it because I care about you. So it's like, it's not me. I try to make consequences for behavior never emotional. Like, there are laid out consequences. If you don't go to class, this is what happens. If you're failing in class, this is what happens. If you're being a bad teammate in A, B, or C, this is what happens. And it's not because I want to punish you. or I get any joy out of that. I never refer to it as a punishment. It's a consequence, just like you will find for the rest of your life with every decision you make.
Yeah.
Like you make the right decision, there are consequences that benefit you. You make the wrong decision, you got to lie in the bed you made and deal with the consequences.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to do. Like after I'm done, like my son got 2 more years of playing, and after these 2 years, what I want to do is, me personally, I want to look at a way to where I can get on a staff, not to be a coach. I don't need a coach. I'll be done with coaching after my son's done. I'll be done. I want to see him play, in high school. I just want to be in the stands, but I want to be a part of a staff to be able to follow these kids around during the week. Hey, let me see your itinerary. Where are you at? What assignments are you missing, or do you got them all done? And I want to be able to make sure we keep this kid eligible, because that's one of the things that we see out here is a lot of ineligible players. You got great talent walking the halls. Yeah. Or sitting in the stands on a Friday night. And that's one thing that we got to change. We got to change this stuff and push it. Academic.
I had 2 kids, my 2 sons, who played soccer, and one played college. And I always tell them, when you have a guy who walks around like he owns the joint, he better own the joint. Yeah. If Michael Jordan did not go to school, or he was a dumb jerk or whatever, he would have never been Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
he never would have been the guy that we got to know. Let me ask you quick, if I can turn subjects just a little bit. Do you still feel that kids want to be coached?
I think they want to be coached how it relates to structure. I think kids don't necessarily want to be chewed out. I don't think kids want to feel like they're being punished without a reason. Yeah. I think that's the big shift. I actually, and this might irk some coaches, but I truly believe, I tell my players in a respectful way, you're always allowed to ask why. I'm not going to play mind games and say, everyone get on the line and let's start running wind sprints. Well, why, coach? Because I said so. Yeah. Like, we're doing things, everything should have a purpose, and if it doesn't, then that's my problem and I need to fix it. So I think kids respond a lot better when they feel like things aren't random, because when they feel like it's random, they can attribute that to you just being an asshole. And I don't want that to happen. So I think the structure and explaining the why of every single decision, if someone wants to ask, is a huge part of coaching kids these days.
And that's us old coaches evolving to the times. Back in, hey, we're running sprints because we're running sprints because that's what we're doing. And now you gotta, as a coach, you gotta evolve and change to this generation, and let them allow to ask why.
Old coaches, I have T-shirts older than you. What are you talking
about? You got a 4X around? They're kind of hard to come by.
But like you said, to quickly wrap that up, I mean, in high school, we don't choose our kids.
Yeah.
And we didn't choose this generation.
Right.
So to say the kids need to adapt to me, I feel like, well, cool, that might make you feel better at the end of the day, but that's not effective. And I'm a results-based thinker. Like, I'm going to adapt to the kids I have, and that's schematically offense, defense, and that's how we run our program. Like, I want the kids to succeed, and we're going to do that every year, no matter how. We'll change if we need to.
So what wins at this level? What wins at your level? What wins at your level?
Discipline. Discipline wins, and to me, discipline wins at every level. If you're disciplined in the classroom, you're disciplined at home, you're disciplined in the classroom, and you're disciplined on the field, that's gonna bring, you can say victories, but to me, the victory is when that kid walks across that stage, graduated. And it can sound corny, it can sound like just something that everybody says. No, the greatest moment is when you see your kid that you coached when they were 7 years old, when they walk across that stage and they graduate, or nowadays doing parades. That's the ultimate payoff. That's your ultimate victory, and that's what it comes down to. If they have discipline, it runs through the whole team, through the parents, through everything.
Same for you.
Yeah, so I think discipline, to piggyback on that, is absolutely one of the top things we're trying to get going, because if you look, in my opinion, you look at what kills a football game: turnovers, offsides, penalties, fumbling the football, third down efficiency. To me, those things all relate to discipline, and mostly discipline in practice. How are we preparing for those moments with our technique, with our film work, with our preparation in the weight room? So discipline's a huge thing, and I think back to that state championship team I coached, or was able to be in the program at that time. They were a team, and I know that's corny, but like, they had team ownership of every decision, good or bad, that happened on that team as a result of their play. There was never finger pointing. It was, we lost as a team, we won as a team. There was no superstars. There was no, there was a bunch of great players on that team, but there wasn't one guy that was like, oh, he's the dude. Like, he gets special treatment.
Yeah.
There was ownership from everybody on a team level.
Bo Schembechler said it the best: the team, the team, the team.
Yep.
And I'm a strong believer in that.
Yep. No question. When all the guys are on the same level, you don't have to rely on one guy that it creates a team. Yeah, because it's all, the corny chain link fence type of thing. You're as strong as your weakest link.
It's true.
That's it.
And selfishness can be a poison to your team, and that
No question.
it could be the most damaging poison. And a lot of times, ability shadows people's assessment of that selfishness, and things fall through the cracks, and that can be a dangerous situation in your program.
At the college level, you call it cancer. You can't fix it either, because if you have somebody who's that guy, it's almost not repairable.
Right. Well, and that's why the little things, the end behavior, that's the actual selfishness, that started months before, I guarantee it. And it started with little things like showing up to practice late and no repercussions, or having a D or an F in a class and, well, he's our starting whatever. So those little things, I truly believe, if there's accountability that's constant, you can avoid, hopefully, that cancer down the road, because it always starts as something very, very small that eventually snowballs into something big.
You just gotta hold everybody has to be held accountable. You know what I mean? And no matter if they're the best running back or the best linebacker, everybody is held accountable for everything. So the moment that you let one kid slide, then that opens up the doors for everybody else to think they can slide. But
and we have to hold ourselves accountable as coaches and as a coaching staff, and not in a fully unguarded way, but we let our team know and we let our coaching staff know when we drop the ball, because we're human beings. But hey, we didn't prepare in this way good enough. That's on us. What are we going to do to get better? I mean, that can't. If it's really the team, the coaching staff's part of the team too. That has to be all encompassing. The kids are smart. They know the energy of the coaching staff and where the egos are, and ownership as well. They don't want to hear a hypocrite preach selfishness all day.
That's a good point. Let me ask you: do you think that coaches, good and bad ones, are self-aware with that thought, where they can actually grade themselves?
I think that's part of being a good human, a good coach, being successful in any job area that you have. If you can't be self-aware and self-assess and know what your weaknesses are, that creates huge problems down the road. And that's what I tell my kids. It's nothing to be embarrassed about when you identify a weakness.
Yeah.
And a lot of times our ego gets in the way, and we don't want to identify it, especially out loud to our coach or a teammate. We don't want to have that discussion. But you can't grow unless you know exactly, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm bad at. I'm going to choose to double down on what I'm bad at instead of only focusing on what I'm good at. So that's a mindset that we try to focus on a lot in the weight room and on the field.
Yeah, one thing I try to tell my boys is, we're going to run this play, all right? So if you're on the defensive side of the ball, how would you stop this play? Find the weakness of this play, and that's where we got to get stronger at the offense to correct that. That way we know it. So you got to learn both sides of the ball and stuff. That's where you correct your mistakes, and that's me also. I can have a misalignment out there and make an adjustment, and it works out. And being a head coach, I've learned you got to be able to delegate. Right. You got to be able to trust your coaches and surround yourself around the right coaches that you can trust. A lot of times, I used to just say it was just one man show. And it got easier being able to delegate, and it made me a better coach to these kids,
Let me ask you real quick as coaches. So if you have to make a choice, you have a kid who's marginal, if a little bit better in talent, but very smart in terms of where to be, angles, things like that, or you have the very talented kid who's sometimes makes mistakes. Which way are you going?
That's a great question, and that's tough. I'd say it depends on the position, but awareness on the field of what your job is. Defensively, I believe 70% of defense is just alignment, and that is not the cool answer. Defense is a lot of other things, but aligning correctly to formations and then knowing what your run and pass read are off of that. If you can't get that down, it doesn't matter how good of a player you are. You're going to make mistakes, and you're going to be a hole that your teammates try to plug, and then they're not doing their job. So I absolutely think that You can work with great players that don't have that awareness and try to build it, but there's no substitute for the dude that is in the right place every
right
single
time.
play. That is
Yeah.
more valuable than a 40-yard dash or a bench press or some of these other measurables.
Right. And if
Definitely.
your son is coached under you, he has some insight because he's a coach's son. You probably talk about it a lot, and it gets absorbed.
Yeah, with my son, we don't talk about football at home. Believe it or not, we don't. On the field, I don't coach my son. Coach Orlando can attest to that. On our staff, you're not allowed to coach your son. If your son is a running back, I don't need you close to the running backs. Move out of the way. You know, that's an agreement that we have. You know, we'll bring it up. If my son asks me a question about football, then we're gonna get an answer. But knowing my son, he's on YouTube. He's watching videos that we played, and he's finding out what mistakes he made and everybody else made. Like my son, maybe next year he might even call the offense. He might call it because we're in the business of coaching. Coaching is not just on the field. We got some kids that can be held, some great coaches soon. They're not all going to go to, they all have a chance to go to college. They all have a chance to play in the NFL. Yes, they do. But there's kids that can coach high school. There's kids that can coach college and further on in the NFL. So I try to give them a little bit of everything. So I give a little leeway to kids. Hey, call your plays. And that tells me what they know. That tells me if they were paying attention. That tells me if I have them in the right spot. That tells me if I'm doing my job as a coach and explaining to them. It sounds, like I said, I'll let them call plays. It doesn't, to me, it's about them.
Well, if your offense is too complicated that the quarterback couldn't call a play, you got a problem with your scheme being too complicated.
Oh, yeah.
So that's I don't know if I'm going to let my quarterback call any plays this year, but
Yeah.
the mindset of it should be simple enough that they know in a given situation it's 3rd and 5. Look at the defense.
Oh, yeah.
What should we try to do here? That has to be there. So I agree with that.
We've
And
had
I'm
our
trying
kids
to-
for
yeah.
about,
Since 8 years, 12, 4 years.
4 or 5 years
Yeah,
now.
I try to let them make their errors out there. Make errors. You're going to do it in practice. You're going to do it in the game. And I feel it's going to help them go into high school. And they're going to adjust better to you guys.
Right.
What you guys do out there. You know what I mean? So,
That's the best form of teaching.
yeah,
Mistakes.
that's it.
Well, you don't want too many of them, though.
Yeah.
You don't.
There's a balancing act, but you're absolutely right. On film on Saturdays, and we watch film every day before practice. We film our practices, or we will. We don't run a highlight reel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everyone, we're not going to sit and film and watch the 40-yard touchdown. We're going to watch when you missed your pass pro block. Not to rag on you, but so that we can learn.
No, and that's funny because people say, well, how come you're always ragging on us, to use your word? How come you're always, because we want to make you better. You don't show the dunks. You don't show
Right.
We know you can do that. That's what we know you can't do.
Yeah. So we have a few questions out there. We have a few questions. I'm gonna say hi to Diego Rivera, Roland Gutierrez.
He said,
Yeah,
why
right.
aren't you guguys eating the salsa?
You got the salsa, the chili, and then you got Frank. What's up, Andrew?
I might just bring that salsa.
And you had one of my old players, Julio. Julio's out in Texas, I think, right now, working out there. So that was from 2010, I think. Julio, he played All Stars.
Nice.
Yeah, he was a kicker, one of the biggest kickers you can ever see. But he didn't kick the ball, and he was good. Hey, coach, throw me the ball, coach. I got it, coach. I was like, yeah, but he was fast. He was big and fast. But yeah, so no, I being a Pueblo Warrior alumni, I'm very happy. I'm very happy you're there, Coach Allen. Very happy you're there, and Coach Sanders, he did a damn good job there, and I think you're gonna continue to do that and make it a lot better. And you guys at Pueblo, get on board with this because it's gonna be going to a good place.
Yeah, the train's moving.
Yeah.
It's time to get on board.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah. Do we got any other questions out
I
there?
think just some positive comments. Who's that? Castro Allery. She said that the structure is everything. Relationships and accountability.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it.
That's pretty good.
That's it. And what do you think about the boundary thing, the open enrollment? The open enrollment. How has it changed high school football here in Tucson? Has it watered it down? You, Steve, being around, has it watered it down?
Yeah,
Or has
I'm not too well. South Point's obviously taking some of the guys, and they would go there if they're good, like some of the recent kids. My son was a boundary guy. He played soccer with a group of guys. This is now 6-7 years ago. That half went to Foothills, half went to South Point, and they were Catalina. Foothills won their state title. South Point won theirs in different years. So I see it as a positive and a negative.
Yeah.
It just depends on the year, and I think things are cyclical. Sometimes you have great athletes, and sometimes you don't. I don't know how it is here on the south side, but I'm sure you have. I've seen a lot of great talent down here. Great talent down here. They just have to not bottle it up, but be aware with grades. Be aware with things that are the influencers. Where that if I want to be good at what I do, I need to work on it.
Right.
I had to block that out. I know it's easy to say here on a seat, but if that's what their important thing is to do, become better, they have to block it out.
What makes a good coach? A coach that has all the talent in the city, or a coach that can coach up what the talent that he has there? Does that make you a better coach if you have all the talent?
At the end of the day, if you can coach them up, and we see this at the college level, you can have as much talent as you want. If you can't coach them up to play better, 3 stars, 4 stars, blah blah blah, you can have 5 stars and not win.
Yeah, because I think a lot of these teams that aren't of the the favorite school, these coaching staffs, they really bust their butt. They bust their tail with the talent that they got, and they don't get the credit that they deserve. So that is one of the reasons that I wanted to do this show, is to make sure we're giving a lot of credit to these coaches that are really busting their tail and not going out there and getting the players that are good. They're getting the players that want to play football and come and bust their tail day in and day out. Some coaches get put up here, and it happens even on the youth level. You can put all the best players on one team and they can win every game, but as a coach, did you show them anything? I mean, they made it easy for you. They just made you call a play. But how did you get to that play? What did it take to get to run that play to perfection like that? You got to have good coaches. It's easy to get somebody that's already made, already talented. To me, you're a manager of talent. Then, good coach is going to coach up the kids that he got. And that's the way I see it.
And I think you guys know who they are.
Yeah.
The coaches who can raise the level of a 2-star, and I'm using just 2-star, 3-star, that can get them to play beyond who they are. Look at the Teddy Bruschi's of the world, the Scooby Wrights. The guys were not thought of highly. The Jake Fishers, people like that, and all this, and he's playing at the next level, which was Arizona, and doing very, very well.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you see any of these ex-U of A players, whether it be basketball, football? How much influence do they have, and how much do they help out the community of Tucson with the youth sports or with high school sports? What do they do? Because I mean, I don't really see that much of it. I only see something if Richard Jefferson puts up a brand new building right there.
Yeah, no, I think at the football level and basketball level, I don't want to speak out of my butt because I don't know what they do, if they do anything. But I think at the minor level, minor sports things, they do a lot. The soccer teams and some of those basketball teams, they visit the schools and they have a presence. Basketball, I think Sean does a little, but football-wise, I do not know what Sunland does. But I think before them, Lute and Dick Tomey's eras, they did more.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, and I apologize if I am. But I'm sure that's very important to the kids today because that's what they look up to.
Because I mean, I would like to see Friday night game on an off week where Arizona plays away. I would like to see a game of the week played in the stadium. Why I don't know why it's not done. I feel like Apollo with recruiting
probably money.
Yeah, but it's always about the dollar. It's always about the dollar. But they want us to go pay all this money for a ticket to go sit up and support them. And I think sometimes you got to lead by example. I think all the time you got to lead by example.
I know they do something where all the kids play on the field. What is that?
All 15 minutes of it. Right. They do all 15 minutes after these kids sell thousands of tickets, thousands of $10 tickets. And they get 15 minutes at a halftime to play, which is actually maybe about 10 minutes. And they're trying to get these kids in. It's fun for that minute, but I think they deserve more than that. You know.
Well, if it's a concern, I would look into it.
Yeah.
I would look into it. Send the letter, send the email to whoever you think that needs to be
Yeah.
heard, even if it's after a game.
Yeah.
Even after a game, because I know they have campouts after the game, deep half hour later when the fields are clear.
Yeah.
I know you want to have a crowd there, and you could, your parents, but you have options.
That might help you. I mean, parents would pay for the ticket to watch the game that they're watching right now, and then afterwards just have a little game right after. You know, keep the lights on for a little bit.
I'm just saying it might give a little boost to the high school players and
Let me
stuff like
be
that,
honest
you
with
know?
you. I'm going to be saying something controversial here on your show,
Yeah.
and you'll never have me back, which is, you don't know how to find where I live or anything like that.
Let's try the chili for
One of the problems I have, and I've been in this business a long time, and I'm guilty of it too. We have an allsportstucson.com where we write the heck out of youth sports. Sometimes I think we do too much for the youth because then they expect that as they grow up, and they get to hear and their stuff doesn't poop. I mean, it doesn't smell. And then you have to kind of break them down and start over where they get a lot of recognition and you're only 8, 9, 10 years old. You're only 8, 9, 10 years old. You have time to get better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but where is that though? Because I've been in youth sports for a long time. I don't see it. I don't see that. I don't see that support.
Yeah.
I see us.
Maybe
I see
don't-
us doing car washes. I see us selling candies. I see
You
us
mean
doing
about
all
talking
this
about,
stuff.
like talking,
Yeah.
building them up, talking?
Yeah, I'm talking not just in Tucson.
Yeah.
I'm talking all over the place
Yeah, yeah.
because the next LeBron James and he's 8 years old,
Yeah.
or come on, let them be kids. It's important for the kids to be kids.
Right,
Oh,
right.
exactly.
And I think that's what this show is about. I don't think it's like just what we're talking about right now is, and this little kid's gonna hear what we're saying right now that he needs to listen and take note. This is just a show about where we're at right now, what we could do as coaches, how we get these kids ready for high school. You know what I mean?
Well,
And,
let me ask you, Coach, real quick, because you've been an assistant coach. I'm sure you've gotten some kids who've showed up as a freshman, maybe sophomore when they make the team, who thought they knew it all, and they could do things that you don't need to tell them. And that starts at a young age.
Well, and it's usually accompanied with, well, their private trainer told them this, and their quarterback's coach told them. And I'm not trying to dog on anyone, but yeah, when it's, well, we did it this way when I played at this organization, that can come up, and it's frustrating. But at the end of the day, all it takes is a simple reminder of, we're not in Kansas anymore. I could care less
Honestly,
what you did last
your
year.
heels 3 times.
I've seen kids where parents and they were like, "Oh, you're great, mijo. Oh my gosh, you're so good. You're so awesome." And then he's walking around and
That's
he's
what parents
like
are
that
supposed to do.
But he's really not that kind of a kid.
That's what parents are supposed to do. The parents
I
are
know.
supposed to hug you and be that
There's
safe
got to
zone
be a
for
line,
you.
though. You're right.
Yeah.
I see it. Like,
If I can
you
inter-
gotta bro, you're really, come on now.
I think there is a problem that we've kind of danced around with that type of player. I think some coaches, and I'm not immune to this, can be afraid that if you stick too hard of a line, that great player is going to transfer out of your school, because it is so prevalent today to have kids that are very talented because of the open boundaries. If they're not, as a freshman or sophomore, starting on varsity, because that's what some coach 2 years ago told them they would be, then, well, this program's not appreciating me and I'm taking my talents elsewhere. And that's, to me, that's crazy. We're talking about kids, and they're acting like LeBron James with the decision. It happens.
And that's what you're getting these high school coaches, or just anybody around the high school coaches that work with that program. They're around. They're like buzzards, and they're waiting for we'll say Pueblo's coach to mess up one time with this player, and then they'll talk to the parents, and then the next year he's transferring over. It's all.
Do you actually have that going on?
Oh hell yeah! That
100%.
happens everywhere. If we had chess teams, it happened in chess.
What's this world coming to? We're right there.
Exactly. It's everybody's taking their ball and leaving when it doesn't work out. For
Well,
them,
you see that a lot in college.
Yeah.
I'm not playing enough. I'm going to go play somewhere else. And like you said, Coach, you're just not good enough. Yeah. I mean, people transfer. Let's say Duke has a transfer that goes to somewhere else. Well, guess what? You weren't Duke good enough. You might be this good enough, but you're not Duke good enough.
Yeah.
Good luck. Or as they say down here in the South Side, que le vaya bien.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, what do we say at Pueblo? Si se puede.
Si se puede.
There you go. You're getting it. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, man. If there's any other questions out there, any comments? missing football right now. We are too, Chris. Yeah, Coach Ron, you're still awake, Coach Ron? There you go.
Coach Ron's with me over at Pueblo. Yep.
Hey, Coach Ron will have your back to the last snap.
We're really lucky to have him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Him and Coach Larry stayed with us, and Coach Rashawn. And
are they still married? Larry and Ron?
I try not to delve into that. But no, we got a bunch of good coaches that stayed on in the program. So we're lucky to have those guys.
Definitely, man. So, but I don't see other questions. You have any other questions, Steve?
No. Just send my check in the mail.
In the mail. I think we're gonna zell it to you. Yeah. So, but no, man. I want to thank you guys for coming on our show. I mean, Coach Jake, hey, I'm very confident you're gonna be doing great things there, and the kids that you're gonna have there, they're gonna bust their tail for you, and they're gonna bust their tail for the team, and I can see that thing turning around really fast, and you're gonna have a successful time there, and I hope you're there for plenty of years to come.
That's the plan.
Plenty of successful years, So, and Steve, thank you for coming on. I mean, you help us out a lot more. If we have any questions, I'd like to call you and be able, to help us get better.
I know how to get to the studio, so I'm fine now, and I can do it anytime you want.
What do you think about our beginner studio here?
I like it.
What do you think?
I like it. I'm going to have to make one at my house and makeshift, kind of like eye in the ball from home.
Is this like kind of close to like ESPN-ish around there? We're getting close.
It's more ESP.
ESP. Yeah, we got to wait for that end later.
Yeah. You have to earn the end. Yes.
I was telling Coach earlier, Joe Rogan started his podcast in his house, and now he has the #1 podcast in the world. So this is a great studio. It's a great thing you guys are doing.
This is 520 Gridiron?
520 Gridiron. Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
Thank you guys for having us on. Thank you guys. I think, I'm trying to grow Pueblo football, but more than that, I want Tucson teams to beat Phoenix teams, and I want Tucson's football community to grow. So Pueblo is my priority, but also building the community of football we have in this town, I take a lot of pride in.
Yes.
I can't stand playing Phoenix teams. I want to beat them. That's the #1 priority is to win in Tucson and then go up and win in Phoenix. So I love what you guys are doing, growing this culture.
All the coaches. South Point, every coach. We're hitting up all the coaches.
We're going to try and get as many coaches as we can to the high school community and get them out here and so introduce themselves, put face to name.
Yeah.
COVID-19, be here on 520 Gridiron.
So we're going to close on that right there. But,
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, guys. You guys have a good night out there. Enjoy the rain. There's a little bit more coming down. There's some hail out in Sierra Vista, so we're all ready for it. And my son, if you're watching, get ready to clean the yard tomorrow. It's going to be nice.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Good night.
Go Warriors.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, let's have some chili. You guys approve it. It's going to be at the, I thought it was going to be Rivera's. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
That was awesome. Appreciate you guys.